Hey, me again, Ben at Ponticulus Design. This is a really important video that we've got now. This is finally laying the paint down onto the parts. So we're going to be turning these plastic parts into realistic wood using the paints that we prepped with last video. So check that out if you haven't already. We've got paints, primers, paint brushes, tools, glues, whatever we need. And then we've got a sacrificial layer that goes on top of our desk so we don't get anything messy or scratched. But yeah, let's get right to it. Follow me step by step and we'll go through the process. Okay, so we've got a space in front of us. We need to clear the space as much as we can so we can get to the parts. Opening up our box, I'm going to be using a black bridge today. Yours should be white. It's better to paint on the white ones, but the black is possible. Just need to prime over the surface. So taking our sacrificial layer, we then want to lay the cardboard out in front of us, just for this step, because it's the messiest step of the lot. Then we're going to lay our 4 frames out and all of the parts, not taking any of them off the frames yet. Taking our surface primer, which I've got a nice neutral color, gray. We're just going to shake it for 1 minute to get it woken up. There we go. And then we're going to spray all of the parts about 8 to 10 inches away. So I use my little finger to thumb as a measure. It's about 8 to 10 inches. And then we're just going to spray a nice even coat over all of the parts, making sure we don't miss anything. And then trying, if we can, getting around the other side of the table to get the angle from the other side. Otherwise, we can turn all of the parts around using pliers or our side cutters. And then the next stage, once everything's dry, is we're going to go on to laying our base coat, which is a really important coat. And because the wood itself is quite dark, this teak that the mathematical bridge is made out of, we're going to go with the model color smoke from the Vallejo company. And this is not going to be washed down at all. This is not going to be diluted. We're going to apply into our pot or paint tin. Just going to apply this straight. So a couple of drops, and then using a nice flat, tough bristled paintbrush, we're just going to apply it evenly on top of the primed parts. So we're getting a nice even, but if you can see the primer coming through, it's not so bad because we are going to apply many other coats. So nice, even, not block painted finish. So you want nice brushed, kind of grainy coat. Not so dry that you see the primer coming through, but wet enough that you see the whole part is painted, with maybe some brush strokes where you can see it's thinned out. Again, with this bit, we're keeping the parts on the frames, and this is just saving us some time, because once we cut them out, we're going to have to do each part individually, which takes quite a lot longer. So we're going to get to both sides here, painting on one side, and then flipping it over and painting the other side too. Just the parts, not the frames, of course. And then once you've done with each frame, just letting them sit aside to dry. We're just going to coat this in the undercoat, this smoke color, until all of the parts are covered. Once we're done with this, I'm then going to cut the parts out, because we need to get into all of the sides that we can't with the paintbrush. So spend some time with your snips, your side cutters, cutting each and every part out from the frame, as where the plastic sprues meet the parts, we're also going to have to paint them too. If we keep them on the frame for too long, we'll miss those bits and have to come back to them later. So just cutting out all of the parts and then carrying on with the steps which we started with. So coming on to the next layer of paint, we've done our base coat and now we're going to be using the light mud. With this paint here, we're going to use two different brushes. The brush that we actually apply the paint with is a pointed tip and fairly soft on the bristles. And what we're going to do is just streak the paint across the parts. It can be completely random. The randomization is, bringing out the effect of the wood. And then we're going to use a tougher bristled flat brush to spread that paint around. So if you take your part, start by streaking the paint along it, and then using the tougher bristled brush just to drag that around. And you'll find that it comes out kind of dusty and dry, but also with these streaks in, which is what we're aiming for. So we've got the dark base, and then this lighter secondary texture just over the top. And you'll see it's starting to come to life. And you can look right close up at the parts just to give you an idea of where we're going with this second layer of paint. But yeah, it's as a beginner, when I first started streaking the paint, it felt a little bit uncomfortable. I felt like I could be ruining it in a way, but then once you get used to it and you use the secondary brush to really spread it out, it's easy to understand what we're actually doing here. So of course, now that we've taken the parts off the frame, we're going to have to apply the paint on each layer to each of the parts. There are 80-ish parts, so it can feel quite long, but each time that you apply a new coat, everything starts to look more and more like wood. So okay, so we now go on to the next layer. This is quite an exciting layer, bringing in a new concept here. We're going to use the burnt umber color and we're going to make a wash. Now a wash is a 1-to-1 dilute of the paint. So you've got 1 part burnt umber to 1 part water, going about 50-50. And the good thing about this is that it acts like water. It collects on features in the wood. It collects at the joints, the bolts, and that kind of thing. So we're looking to really bring out this natural look by using this wash. And it's quite an easy coat to apply. You just get a soft bristled flat brush, and we're going to dip it in the wash after mixing it thoroughly. So mixing the paint and the water together, and then just spread it over all of the parts. You can very much trust that it's going to land in the right places. You're not going to have much control over it because it's water. So just spread it around, not worrying too much about where it lands, and then just put the parts to the side, going through the 80 parts once again and letting them dry when they're finished. Okay, and then we're going on to another coat. Similarly, we're going on to a dark brown, this time smoke, and we're going to do another wash, this time applying with a pointed, soft bristled brush. And we're just going to be highlighting features on the wood at this stage. So using this secondary wash to go over the bolts, any crevices or sort of grain-like structures that you see. But now that we've applied a few layers of paint, you'll see that there are actually features that have just come from the paint layers. And so yeah, just apply as you feel. Again, it's quite watery, so you're going to have some level of control, but just trusting that it's going to fall in the right places. And yeah, we'll add some further accents to this dark end of the spectrum of colours. And then this next step here, this is not paint, this is a cup of tea. Yeah, really important step. Take a break, chill out. Just a few more steps from here. First two are actually quite similar. You've got Iraqi sand and pale sand. We're going to be hitting the edges and stippling and, you know, getting any kind of nail holes or knots in the wood, kind of bringing the effects to those areas. These lighter ones, we're going to actually basically be dusting them. So just a very light touch of the paint on the brush and then wiping off the majority of it and then just hitting the edges and any small features. And then once we're done with that on all of the pieces, we're going to move over to smoke and do one more very, very thin wash. So probably more water to paint in this one. And it's got to be kind of see-through enough that it actually allows everything to come through it. And this is going to bring everything together. It's going to soften the contrasts between the lights and the darks. And yeah, so again, the work goes into the wash itself, the mixture, and then you can be quite open, just putting it over all of the parts, as you know when it's diluted that it's not going to be taking over any of the other colours. So looking at the parts after finishing this final couple of coats, they really do look stunning, and when I began I didn't think that they would look this realistic, especially under the microscope. You can see the close-up detail is really true to life. It looks very weathered and very natural, and I think overall a success. I hope yours was too. Leave a comment down below if it was. So you should have your 80 parts all ready to go now, looking like beautiful wood. I hope this step-by-step guide has helped you and that you've got the results that you wanted. Next episode, we're going to be assembling the model and really making it come to life. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell, share it to any friends, and join me in the next episode. Until then, see you soon.